Why are they your lucky tights?
I played with these pretty much the whole back half of last season, and I was doing pretty good in them. And I wore them this fall just with the idea of, hey, I'm going to tear these tights up before the season starts. That did really good, so now I just keep wearing them.
Coach just talked about 8 different options out there in the outfield, I guess. Just tell me about kind of how that group is, progressing, and what do you like about having that many, playing partners around you, and what are maybe some of the challenges, if there are, or is communication really good and none of this is a factor?
There's a lot of versatility. There's a lot of new guys out there. I know a lot of the time people like to talk about Chris Stanfield and Derek Curiel and being 2 new guys that are rolling out in the outfield in Alex Buck Stadium. But both of those guys are extremely talented. I think Derek may be the most impressive freshman I've ever seen. Communicating with him in the outfield seems really easy. I think the game comes natural with both of them too, and a lot of the new outfielders that we brought in, as well as the guys that return, like Josh, McPaul. There's a lot of options, there's a lot of variability, and I think it's going to be a really successful group.
Just take a baby step forward, just to do Mike's thanks.
When it comes to your offensive game, does it really help your improvement when you can just sort of square in and focus on the offense, and you don't have to worry about going to bullpen one day or getting ready to pitch for the next day or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just being able to be where my feet are and trying to limit all the stuff that can affect me on the outside, whether that's what's going on the next day, what's going on the previous day, whether that's pitching, whether that's schoolwork, anything. If I can just eliminate that and focus on being in the batter's box and doing my job at that time, it always makes it easier.
I think Coach mentioned that you took like a leap offensively during this past fall. Like, what do you think was sort of the cause of that leap?
I think a little bit of maturity. This wasn't my freshman year anymore. I know Coach Johnson talks a lot about the big jump as being from a player's freshman year to their sophomore year, and I was a lot more comfortable in there. I think I was able to work on my mental game a lot in summer ball, and really applying that. And like I said, being one pitch at a time, being where my feet are, I was able to kind of take everything that I've worked on and put it into use.
You've added some 10 pounds since last year. Like, what was your sort of like diet routine or workout routine or whatever that got you that weight?
Well, we brought in a new strength coach, Chris Martin, and I think he's done a really good job with not just me but all of our guys. I think if you take a look at our team, just in the uniform, everyone fills out the jersey a lot better this year, and it'll help out not just me but a lot of us. I think we have some really strong guys. We have some physical guys that can make a contribution to this team.
Coach said he feels comfortable with any of 8 guys in the outfield. How many do you think it was last year? 5 or 6? Or
I know there was a handful of us that shuffled around a lot during the season. I'd be lying if I could tell you the number, but I do feel really good about this year's outfield team.
How about just the communication in general? With this many new pieces and parts, how are y'all fit? And last time I think we talked to some players, you guys haven't faced any adversity. Coach started to talk a little bit about it today. Guys getting some playing time, guys not getting some playing time. How much of a dynamic shifter is that? And people understanding that it's a long season, and maybe because you're not playing early doesn't mean you'll play middle or late.
Right. I don't think that'll be much of a problem for this year's team, just because we've talked a lot. We've had a lot of team development, and I think that everyone has one unique goal, and that's to win a national championship this year. And I think that everyone's willing to accept their role. Everyone's willing to put the team first. Like, we have a shirt that says "Team Over Me," and I think that's going to be a big step in this year. And everyone contributing. Like, we could play 15 guys in a game that we win 7-4, and that'll be huge for our team just because there's so many pieces. Everyone's working to one common goal, and that'll be huge for us.
What are you seeing in the staff so far? Gives you a lot of confidence, I guess, in the guys running out there.
Pitching staff, you mean?
Yeah.
It's really good. Really, really good. I think coming back from this spring, it's probably the most adversity I've faced as a hitter personally, and a lot of that I think is a tip of the cap to the pitchers. I think we have a lot of good guys. I think Coach Yeski's doing a great job with what we have.
Yeah, Jay said that he couldn't tell if you were a good defensive team because the number of strikeouts, I guess, so they're tying you up a little bit up there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a tip of the cap to them. They're doing their job, and the reason they're here is to get guys like us out. And I think if they're getting our offense out, then they're going to have a lot of success this spring.
Are you a better hitter because you're also a pitcher? Does that make sense?
In a way, I think I can understand what the pitcher is trying to do, just because I've been on the other side of the ball as well, and I know what I'm trying to do in certain counts maybe. But it definitely helps at some points.
You see it in Schmitty, just a freshman with a lot of upside. How is he handling the moment? And obviously it's different for him, right? Because this is his hometown, and he kind of knows the expectations and what people are thinking of him. How's he handling all that?
I don't think the kid feels pressure, to be honest with you. I think he just rolls out there and he enjoys being on the mound. I think he has a lot of fun up there. And I think this is something that he's been wanting to do his whole life, and he's fully taken advantage of that.
Are you noticing in the scrimmages and stuff, you guys are maybe more aggressive on the base path because you got a little more athleticism in the lineup possibly?
Definitely a little bit. There's going to be a lot of different ways that we can win a game. It's not going to be straight gorilla ball, which there will be times we'll hit our homers, we'll hit our doubles, but we're going to be able to manufacture runs without getting hits, I think, and that'll be something that takes us to the next level.
What's your relationship with Chris Stanfield like? Has he taught you anything yet?
I love him. We spend a lot of time together in the outfield, obviously, throughout practice, scrimmages, or whatever. It kind of seems like we're always on the same team, and that's a good thing. I love being out there with him. I love sharing the field with him. He's an awesome dude. Glad to have him here.
Got some range?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If there's a ball in the gap, he's getting to it.
How advanced is Derek Curiel as a freshman? You were kind of in his shoes last year, right? Big recruit, got some early playing time. Could you see him kind of following that kind of trend too?
Yeah, no doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if he did better than I did. Kid can play, and I think the expectation was that he was going to come here and he was going to do really good right off the bat. And I don't think it would be out of pocket to say that he's exceeded expectations a little bit. And I think that kid's going to have a lot of good baseball here for the next couple of years.
How much more comfortable are you this year, kind of having gone through last year, have that behind you now, and kind of know the expectations, those kinds of things? Do you feel it? Do you feel like...
I feel better. I'm really excited. I know that just because I know how fun the season is. I know what it's like when the box is rocking out there, and I'm just really excited to get to it.
How do you kind of handle like the depth of the outfield room? Because there's so many of you guys that could play, but only obviously like 3 or 4, whatever it is, can play at a time in terms of DHing, whatever. How do you kind of handle the pressure of getting that playing time?
It's definitely a competition, but I think it's a competition that makes everyone better. It's not like a salty, I'm mad that this guy's playing and I'm not. I think it's everyone's coming together to make all of the teammates the best that they can be. And like I said earlier, I think there will be times where we roll out maybe 4 or 5 different guys out there in one game, whatever it takes to win, and I think everyone's okay with that.
All right, thank you, Jake.
Thanks,
Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Hill Regional, because I was watching your walk-through practice. Did you ever think you'd be here a couple months later at that point?
I had no idea. I don't know, it was kind of a full circle moment in a sense because we played them in the regional. So it was kind of crazy how it all came together. But yeah, I really had no idea I'd end up here.
What were your impressions of LSU at that regional?
I thought they played the game the right way. I thought they played really hard. I knew they were coached by a great guy, and that's part of that is the reason why I'm here, because I fell in love with it here and loved what he stood for. So.
Did you expect to pitch in that first game? Because they ended up holding you back because everyone here kind of expected you to pitch in that game, and then you didn't. So
No, I actually knew I wasn't going to.
Okay.
So our coach told me when we found out where we were going for the regional, he told me I wasn't going to pitch that first game.
When did you decide to enter the portal then?
It was, I don't remember the exact day. It was a couple days after we lost in Chapel Hill. Just kind of took a few days to talk with my family and kind of evaluate where I was and what I wanted to do. So.
Why did you decide to end up doing that, like, ultimately?
I felt like I needed to take a next step in development, and I felt like I had given everything to where I was at Wofford, and I felt like in order for me to, take that next step, like I said, I needed to come to a place like this where I could grow and develop and meet new guys, be with a new coaching staff, and just, like I said, just take that next step and where I wanted to go.
Tell me a little bit about your game. Sorry, I'm not super familiar with it. I guess just what kind of pitcher are you? What do you have? And what has LSU maybe helped you take to the next level since you've been here?
Yeah, LSU's been great so far. I think really coming here, it's learning how to adapt, but also at the same time not really changing who you are. I think one of my strengths is just having a calm demeanor, and I think that translates to this level. And I think not changing who I am is going to be a big part for me. And LSU so far has been great, and just learning how to adapt to everything and learning who I am. So,
what do you pitch this game?
I throw a 4-seam, a sinker, a changeup, and a slider.
Where do you think you're going to fit in as the season goes on? There's so much depth, I mean, and maybe you don't know yet.
Yeah, I think the depth of the pitching staff is our strength, obviously, and it's hard to say where I'll fit in. Obviously, I want to be one of the guys that coaches can rely on, and I think I can give that. But at the same time, it's a deep staff, and everyone's going to get their opportunity. So,
How do you feel about, relief and starting?
yeah. So last year I spent the whole year starting, and I've had experience with relieving freshman year at Wofford. I relieved most all the year, so I'm kind of familiar with both of them. So just kind of see how the course takes itself.
I don't know if you were here when Jay was talking about it, but he said, one of my best pitchers would be the guy at the back end of the game. Does that take getting used to? Kind of accepting that and really believing it, fighting that urge to want to be the starter? And does it help when a guy says that, in front of everybody?
Yeah, I think it's easy to accept what you want to be, but at the same time, you got to realize what the team needs. So I think that'll be an important thing for everyone who won't get a chance to start and accepting, a back-end reliever role. And, if that's something that I'll have to do, then that's something I'll do for the team and, end up, having a successful year with it. So
They stretched you out pretty good so far?
yeah, they have.
Were you up to 80 pounds?
For pitches, last week I was at 60. This weekend I'll be around 75.
You pitched in some big games already postseason and faced some high caliber teams. How do you think that prepares you for the rigors of the SEC schedule when Coach talks about it all the time? And last year's team kind of struggled with it a little bit. You got to just whatever happens, let it go and move on to the next game kind of thing.
I think it does a great job of preparing people. I like to feel like I've had a good amount of experience in college so far, so I think it does do a good job of preparing you for the SEC, obviously.
I think last year during the Southern Conference, I think you pitched like twice in 5 days or something crazy like that. Like how'd you do that, and how do you think that can help you here in the future?
How did I do it? I don't really know how I did it. But it was what the team needed, and we know what we wanted to do. We had bigger goals than just winning that conference tournament. We made it to that regional and won our first ever regional game, so that was pretty cool to experience. So.
When Jay reached out to you and you were in the portal, or maybe it was vice versa, and you reached out here first, but that initial conversation with him, what did he say that he liked about what he saw out of you, what he saw out of your tape? Like, what were some of the things that he zeroed in on with you?
So our first conversation was he immediately wanted to get me on a visit. He had been preparing for me, obviously, in the Chapel Hill Regional, but I didn't throw. So yeah, it was great. He wanted to get me on a visit. He said he loved how I pitched, thought I could do great for this team here, do great for this program. So.
Blytheville? Is that where you're from?
Blythewood,
Blythewood.
South Carolina. Yeah.
So big part of your game is just throwing strikes. Like, what do you think's been the key for you in terms of just that consistency?
I think a lot of it is preparation. When I'm on the mound, I don't think too much. I just kind of let how I pitch take the course of the game, and I don't really. It goes back to preparation, and I just feel like that's what makes me a good pitcher.
And then you said you wanted to sort of take your game to the next level as one of the main reasons why you entered the portal. So, like, what specifically did you want to sort of take to the next level, I guess?
I think just being here, and especially competing in the SEC, I think that's what's going to take it to the next level, and proving to people that you can perform here. And I think that's why that was a big reason that I ended up coming here. So.
With the development, I guess, aspect of this, like how much is working with Yeski and maybe some of the tools and the lab that they have here kind of helped you already in that?
Yeah, Coach Yeski's been great. A big goal for me in the fall was to being more confident in a slider, and I think that pitch has gotten a lot better. I started throwing a sinker, which I didn't throw last year. So you have two new pitches, and Coach Yeski's been great with everything. Communicates a lot with us, so I love it.
So you were pretty much just fastball change last year?
Yeah, pretty much.
So y'all played like a pretty aggressive brand of baseball at Wofford, like stealing bases and aggressive whatever. Are you seeing some of the similarities here with this specific team, the amount of athleticism you guys have and all that?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I don't think we'll bunt nearly as much as we did at Wofford because that was something we did multiple times a game. But yeah, I think it translates a little bit on the base stealing aspect of things, and I feel like everything here is just ticked up a notch. So I definitely see a little bit of it.
I mentioned the Southern Conference thing earlier, and we've talked a little bit about how you can and have gone longer in games. Do you think your style has a lot to do with that? Since you're not trying to pump 100 every single time out there on the mound.
I think it plays a factor into it because I'm not trying to. I know who I am, and I'm not going to try and overperform, try to overdo things, and I think that, like you said, it does play a factor into being able to go longer in the games.
Have you thrown to all 4 of the catchers?
I have.
What stuck out to you about all 4 of those guys?
I think all of them are great. Adjusting to different catchers I think takes a little while, but I love all of them. I think they all do a great job. They all do their own. They all have their own strengths. Yeah, like I said, I love throwing to all of them.
Do you remember how many pitches you threw over the 2 games in 5 days, or about?
I don't remember exactly. I think it was around 200. I think it was 100, close to 100 each outing.
And after the second one, did you feel different? Were you more sore than usual? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have like a good recovery plan or something like that? So much?
Yeah, well, it wasn't. We did a little bit with the trainers. We didn't have near as what we have here. But I knew I was going to be sore no matter what, so it's just about going to do that game and doing what I do. So.
What was your recruitment like out of high school? Like, did you hope to play at a big program like this?
Yeah, I'd always hoped to, but going into college, I didn't really have a lot of offers. I wanted to be a two-way. I was recruited to Wofford as a two-way, and I wanted to be a two-way. So I did that at Wofford for a little bit, but when springtime came, I just stuck with pitching. So coming out of high school, I didn't really have a lot of offers. So.
You ever tell Jay what you do in the box here?
We've never really had a conversation about it. Maybe I'll bring it up to him.
Skeens, didn't work for Skeens either.
Clemson or South Carolina?
Clemson a little bit, South Carolina not so much.
Have you been surprised that you've been able to add a pitch to your arsenal since you've been here in the few short months?
I wouldn't say surprised. I kind of expected it, just being here and being under a new pitching coach, because that was one of my goals coming here. So I wouldn't really say surprised, no.
What does it take to add a pitch?
Trust. I trust Coach Yeski. Trust the coaching staff. It really goes back to the work you put in every day. So it's just kind of preparing and trusting yourself, trusting the people around you.
I kind of mentioned it earlier, but some of the tech they have here, I don't think they have that at Wofford. So, have those sort of devices helped you sort of understand what works for you and what doesn't, and help you, as Corey said, add pitches?
Yeah, it's helped. I've never really been big into the numbers side of things because I've never really had exposure to it. We didn't have it at Wofford, like you said. But yeah, that stuff's great. So it's definitely helped.
Seem like more of an old school guy. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I guess that's just kind of how I am, how I pitch. So that'd be a good way to put it.
Where does that, is that like from your dad, or where do you get that mentality, I guess?
I don't know. I guess it's just kind of how I've always played. You could say a little bit from my high school coach. But yeah, I guess it's just kind of how I've always pitched and played. So.
You mentioned adding the slider to your game. Why do you think that adding that pitch was important? What has it done for your other pitches?
Having that slider, I feel like it just allows you to open up for more air. In a sense that you make a bad pitch, you can throw a good slider, and vice versa. So.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Zach.
Thank you, Zach.
Appreciate it.
Your last